if you want to get good at anything, if you want to get good at building a business, if you want to get good at making money, there is an element of show up and do the work and practice. And there is going to be so much discomfort that you have to move through and so much effort that you have to put in order to get the result that you want to get. In this episode of the She Means Business Show, I want to do something that I haven't really fully done before, and that is just really have a little chat and a good old conversation around like the truth about building an online business or your own business. Because I think that so often we see the outside of people's businesses and it looks all shiny and amazing and perfect, but we don't really see what's happening on the inside. We don't really see what does it really take to create that success? What do you really have to do? And I think it can get really confusing. And I think that there's, we see so much on social media about like, it can be easy and you don't have to hustle. And there's a lot of good stuff in that. For example, I also don't think you should hustle yourself to burnout because that's no good for anyone. But there are times when it's not going to be easy. There are times when you're going to have to flip and hustle your arse off. Like, there just are. If you want to create that level of success, there are going to be those times when you're working, and sometimes it doesn't even feel like hustling because you're so excited and fired up about what you're doing that it doesn't feel hard, but you're still flipping hustling, and you're working and you're doing it and you're spending like as many hours as you can building your business and getting it out there and creating that success. And that's fine. Like, I know for myself, I got to where I'm at today and have created the success because I flipping worked my arse off to get here. Like, there is absolutely no denying it. I cannot sit here and tell you that getting here was easy peasy. Like, I just can't tell you that because it's such a lie. I got to where I am because I worked so hard to get here. And when you see things online about people who are talking about it being really easy and, not having to hustle and everything like that, it can make you think, oh my God, I'm doing something wrong. Or like, I'm trying to make this easy. I'm not hustling and why is nothing happening? And I'm not saying that it can't be easier because it can, but I think there's seasons to things. There's seasons to it all. And for me, I'm constantly going out of seasons where I'm taking it a bit easier and seasons where I'm flipping working really, really, really hard. And that's life, isn't it? Like, that is life. I mean, I know that, you'll know this is true from any experience you've had about when you've got good at anything. Like, I remember when I was like learning to play the clarinet as a kid, like, if for me to get good, I had to practice and practice and practice, even when I didn't want to practice, even when I hated the damn thing, even when I wanted to chuck it out the window. Like, I had to show up and practice if I wanted to get good. And if you want to get good at anything, if you want to get good at building a business, if you want to get good at making money, there is an element of show up and do the work and practice. And there is going to be so much discomfort that you have to move through and so much effort that you have to put in order to get the result that you want to get. And I think that it's just really important for us all to remember that it blooming takes effort, because if success was easy, everyone would be blooming successful, but everyone's not really successful because it's not that easy. Like, it requires us to show up. It requires us to face our fears. It requires us to be courageous. It requires us to put in a lot of effort and hard work and time, quite frankly, time. And I know that so many of us want to create success, or like, so many of you, people I chat to, and they want to create success, but they don't have very much time. And I get it. So it's then figuring out how can you make the most of the time that you do have available. And sometimes that means having to make sacrifices. And again, I think that's another word where we don't like talking about sacrifices, especially in the more feminine space, is because we don't want to have to make sacrifices. We don't want to have to sacrifice things that mean something to us, that are important to us. And I get it, because I don't want to sacrifice either. Like, I am a mum, I have 2 kids, and I do not want to sacrifice the time I get to spend with them. But sometimes I do. Sometimes I have to, because I have to focus on like building my business. And sometimes that means that I have to really, really work hard at the sacrifice of spending time with them. And sometimes that bloody sucks. But that is the truth and the reality sometimes. So the other things that I want to talk about, because I wanted to just like share about this, and like I would love to also hear your thoughts and feedback on this as well. because like I said, so many people do think that I have it all figured out and that everything is so rosy and peachy all the time. And I get it, because there's other people online who I look at and I think, gosh, I bet they really have it figured out. I bet they don't have the problems I have. I bet they don't struggle the way I struggle. And then I think, well, actually, they probably do. Or just maybe in different ways, or have gone through it at one time or another. Because for me, like, since having kids, it's like, been 5 years. And since having kids, my life obviously completely changed. And not only that, I think I'd reached a point in my business where I was starting to like expand the team. And I mean, the whole team thing for me, oh my gosh, like I still haven't got that right. I still haven't figured it out. I still keep getting it wrong. I still, keep making mistakes. I still feel like I need to be a better leader. And the emotional drain that comes with like getting the team stuff wrong is really hard. And to be honest, like over the past few years, I feel like I've taken an absolute battering with getting it wrong and like trying desperately hard to get it right. And, learning and doing things and really trying to be proactive to get it right. But the people side of a business is I have found to be challenging at times and really draining, and it's like taken a lot out of me over the past few years trying to do that. But you wouldn't know it, seeing obviously my social media, all the stuff I put out there, because obviously I'm not going to be blurting out, oh yeah, today I'm having a real struggle with this, and this, which is why I kind of wanted to make this podcast episode to be real about the fact that like it is hard at times. Like it can be blooming amazing, and yes, I really feel like it's important for all of us to be so intentional about what we want and the dream life we want and how we want it to be. 100%, I completely stand by all of that, and I do that stuff myself. But there's also going to be the challenges that come with it all, and I think that it's just important to remember that if you are experiencing that, or you have been experiencing it over and over again, like you're not alone and there's nothing wrong with you. And just because you have those challenges and frustrations and struggles doesn't mean you can't succeed, doesn't mean you can't become wildly successful, doesn't mean you're not already wildly successful. And I think someone that's really helped me with this is my dad. So, growing up, my dad, he's always run businesses. And he has been through ups and downs and ups and downs. And I've seen it the whole time. He is so resilient. Like, he is somebody who can, experience tremendous success and also experience huge setbacks. And he will just remain optimistic. And he just gets back on the horse and he's just like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out the next step. And he just kind of keeps going and keeps going and keeps going with so much resilience and such an optimistic, open mind as to like how to handle the struggles and the challenges he's facing. And for me, I've found that really empowering as I've gone through those struggles and challenges in my own business, to know like, okay, this is just normal. Like, everyone goes through this. It's not always just rosy, plain sailing. Sometimes it is, don't get me wrong. But there are things that do arise. I remember like a couple of years ago, honestly feeling like I don't even know what to do anymore. I feel like I just want to, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. I think I felt so lost in everything with like having kids and wanting to be like a mom, and then the team stuff, and feeling like kind of trapped by the team stuff. And it got to a point where I just thought like, I think I've had enough of this. I think I've had enough and I'm done. And then I was like, actually, Carrie, if someone bought your business or someone else ran the Female Entrepreneur Association, how would it make you feel? And I was like, I would hate it. And then I was like, okay, let's work through this and process it and figure out what's going on here so that we can move forward. And so I feel like for me, it's constantly been a case of really looking at that and like dissecting what is going on, how do I feel, and what could I do to help me in this situation. And I think for me, this is where all the inner work comes in. And that has helped me so much to get through the challenges and the struggles that I face. Because there are so many things that crop up. Like, I just wrapped up a launch not that long ago. I cannot even begin to tell you the number of things that went wrong in that launch. There were so many things, like, firstly, our whole community was inside of a Facebook group, and then Facebook group had this weird glitch where it wasn't letting people join the group. And so then people were like, hang on, I can't join your group. What are you doing? And then we had people who were really annoyed with us, as if like, I'm trying to join the group. Why are you not letting me join? We were like, no, it's not us. It's a Facebook glitch. But obviously it was, for some people, they still felt like it was our fault. So then obviously that was going on, which was an issue happening to lots of other people, not just me. We had so many things, like so many little tech gremlins, and just little things that went wrong, and then things that didn't land properly, and just things that needed changing last minute. And like, I think this is just, part of it, isn't it? That it's constantly looking at everything. But when I was during that launch, and, when I was like, I want to, really want to figure this out. I want to figure out how I can make this the biggest success that it can be. I remember a moment where I felt so disheartened and frustrated, and, just down about what was going on. And I remember having a day where I felt like that. And then the next day I was like, right, all systems go. What are we going to do about this? How are we going to change this? And I started to get really excited and optimistic about the optimizations we could make, and the changes we could make, and the new things that we could be doing, and the new things we could be learning about. And so for me, doing that inner work and having that place to come back to, of like, literally like my dad, it's like that resilience of like, okay, let's get back on this horse and let's figure it out. Let's figure out how can we move forward? Let's figure out what we can be optimistic about. Let's figure out like what we can be positive about, and let's focus on that to drive us forward. And that has literally been something that has hugely helped me to create the level of success that I have, is that resilience to keep on going, even when it feels impossible, even when I feel like I'm failing, even when I feel like I've just taken 10 steps back. It just helps me to keep going. And like, even, when I look at the Female Entrepreneur Association, the first 2 years of building the business, I didn't make any blooming money. I must have made like less than $1,000 the first 2 years. And so many people said to me, Carrie, what are you doing? What you're not, where is this going? But it was like, no, I clung on to the things that were working, and the momentum I was building, and I stayed focused on, no, I know what I'm here to do, and I'm going to keep going. I had this quote on my wall that said, successful people hang on when everyone else is let go, and I'd be like, Carrie, you are hanging on. And I think it's hanging on to your dreams, to what you want to make happen, to what you want to achieve. If you want to build a really successful business so that you can have a life that you can live with more freedom, where you've got more money, more financial security, and all of that stuff, like, what are you letting go for? Like, you've got to figure it out. Like, there is no way back from this. You just have to keep going and figuring it out, and figuring out as well how you can get yourself into the best frame of mind, so you do it in a way that feels better, like just feels good, like where you feel like, okay, I can get optimistic about this, I can get excited about this. And so yes, that's the dance that I often have, is getting myself into that place. And then on the inner work piece, especially like when I am struggling with like things that are, for example, like, not getting the team right, stuff right. That stuff that can like linger as I try and figure it out, and, make decisions and all that stuff. And so for me, really taking the time to learn to do my meditations, my visualizations, I will literally try anything and everything to help me to be the best version of me, in the best headspace I can be in, so that I can move forward, whether it's my crystal singing bowls, whether it's like my oracle deck cards, whether it's my crystals that are on my desk, whether it's like an inspirational book that I'm reading or listening to, whether it's conversations that I'm having masterminds that I'm part of, inspirational videos or podcasts that I'm listening to. I am there for all of that, so that I can show up as the best version of me to make those decisions. And I think so often we don't make the time to do that work on ourselves. And so we end up so out of alignment with ourselves. We're so disconnected from ourselves. We don't even really hear our own voice. And it's really hard to keep going when you're in that place, because the doubts, the worries, the fears, the imposter syndrome can really easily take over. And from that place, we make bad decisions, not the decisions that really aren't serving us. So I really try and work hard on making sure that I stay in my own power to make the decisions that are the best, that are from a place, from like my heart and soul, not from my imposter syndrome brain kind of thing. And so that has really helped me. And I have done things like I joined spa so I could go on spa days or spa mornings really, so that I have that space so I can reconnect with myself. And journaling, something that I've been doing this year is I've got my 5-year journal, and I journal in that every evening, which has been so nice to get into the habit of just doing a few lines a day, and doing those things like journaling and visualizing and reading and all that stuff. This morning I woke up early, way before the kids, and sat on the sofa and was reading a book called The Emotion Code, and it was just so nice to sit there and do that. I did a visualization as well, sat there before they woke up, and it's nice to be able to do those things, and that's what's really helped me to keep going in business. So when you follow people, or you're following, for example, me and listening to this episode right now, and you're thinking, God, they've got it figured out, they've got it together, just know no one has it all figured out. No one has it all together. If you came behind the scenes in the business, yeah, there's some things we do really, really, really well, don't get me wrong. But for some stuff, it's just absolute shit show. It just is. And it's a mess. We're trying to figure it out. And I give myself permission, for us as a company, for me as a leader, to be figuring it out. And I'm not trying to be perfect here. I'm not. I'm so far from perfect. But I think it's really important to know that it's not all perfect and rosy. It's real life. It's real life. And I had a conversation with someone the other day, and we were talking about various parts of our business, and he was like, well, if it makes you feel any better, we're going through the same things right now, the same issues. It was some stuff we were talking about, and it made me feel so much better to be like, oh gosh, thank God it's not just me. And it's not it's real. This is what we have got to go through. So all the successful people you see are all figuring this stuff out, are all going through phases, really, really good phases, where it's you're flying, you're building momentum, everything's going swimmingly, you feel like you're getting it right. And then, going through other phases of where it's actually got to go on the next phase of the journey, and I'm evolving to another level, or I'm just going through some changes, or the industry's changing, or whatever it is. And you've got to you go through that bit of turmoil where there are challenges and setbacks and frustrations, and you get things wrong, and you got to go back to the drawing board on it, and you got to keep going and going and going and going and going and going. And every single one of us is on that journey, and that's what we're going through. And it's just kind of coming back to that place of like I said, the inner workplace of remembering that, or tuning into the abundance that is available, and holding the faith that it is available for all of us, even though it feels like it might be hard or challenging or a struggle. And that's for me what helps me to stay optimistic and positive, even when I'm like, God, that was a disaster, or whatever, or that didn't go the way I thought, or my gosh, I made a mistake there. That's what helps me to stay optimistic, and have that resilience to keep going. So I hope me sharing this and taking you behind the scenes on this is helpful and makes you feel comforted if, not if, because I know all of us experience this. I don't think I've ever spoken to or met anyone where they've not really had to dig deep at times and had to work their asses off to create the level of success that they've wanted. That, it isn't all sunshine and roses. But we are here for each other, and that's the thing. I think that's why communities are so powerful, where we get to hang out, where we get to be there together by each other's sides, cheering each other on when we need to be cheered on because we're going through a dip or whatever it is, or a bit of a frustration. And also to celebrate the blooming amazing times as well, and the breakthroughs and the moments we're like, oh my gosh, yes, I finally got it right. Because it's like, it's like the whole Albert Einstein thing, 10,000 failed attempts to get the one right attempt. And this is so often the case. So often we're trying things and it might not be working. We've got to try something else and that might not work. And we try something else and that might not work. And we try something else and that might not work. And then eventually something does work. And then we do something else and then it doesn't work. And then we do something else and it doesn't. It's like, that's just the way it all is. And like I said, for me, I think seeing that and realizing, okay, like I can be resilient. I can hang on. Because what am I letting go for? I want to live a life where I get to be successful, where I get to have the money that I want, the abundance that I want. That's what I really, really want. And if you want that, there is no letting go. There is no letting go. You have to keep going and figuring it out. And you will. And you will. So yes, anyway, I hope this is helpful. Definitely let me know in the comments, or let me know on Instagram. So send me a DM at I am Carrie Green and share your thoughts on this, because I just feel like it's something that is so important for us all to remember, that we all go through the ups and downs. And even if it looks perfect from the outside, it probably isn't always perfect, because without the dark, there is no light. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we all have to balance both of them. And I think so often on social media, all we see is people portraying this peachy, amazing, like all this stuff that's amazing. And it makes you think, like, sometimes it can be like, geez, like, sometimes I even think, oh my God, like, why am I making it so hard for myself? And then I'm like, oh, I'm not. It's just sometimes it is hard. And sometimes it's easy. Like, it's both. And that's okay. So anyway, I wanted to share it. I wanted to talk about it because I think it's important. And I feel like inspired by my dad, who has taught me that it is this up and down, up and down, up and down, because life is up and down, up and down, up and down. And sometimes you work your ass off and sometimes it's great and you don't. And you got to keep going and going and going. And the more optimistic you can stay, the more positive you can stay, the more you can do that inner work, the more it's going to help you to be who you need to be in order to keep going in a way that actually feels good and doesn't make you feel burnt out, for example. Should do another episode on burnout as well, and looking after yourself, because that's another thing. Is like knowing your own limits, knowing your boundaries, and knowing how to protect your own energy when things are really, really challenging, so that you don't overwhelm yourself into a place where you're not well, or you feel burnt out, and you literally are like totally like medically burnt out, because you don't want that. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed this little a peek behind the scenes of the truth. And I will see you next time for another episode of the She Means Business Show. Bye.